Hi, this is Lorraine Tierney with Chat and Craft with Lorraine, and I'm coming on today to show you how to do the floating strips technique. I'm just going to check and see how we look on Facebook in a second here. Make sure that I'm live in the right place. Let's see how this looks and that I'm in the screen. Okay. I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger. Please go ahead and say hello. Let me know that you're here and that you're watching today. So this is the card we're going to make, and like I said, it's called the floating frame technique. I don't know why I'm always crooked on here. So you can see that I have strips that look like they are floating there. Okay, and we are going to do that together. This paper that I'm using, this designer series paper, is the Sweet as a Peach paper, and this is in the annual catalog still. It's a nice springy blue sky color paper, and I really like that. I'm in the mood for spring, so that's why I chose that. So the first thing I did was just cut some pieces into 1/2-inch strips. And I used all of the same paper pack and a couple of pieces of plain balmy blue. And these are a little narrower. These are 1/4-inch strips. And then this one I forgot to finish cutting. I'm just going to cut this quickly into another 1/2-inch piece. And in terms of how long your strips should be, it depends on what size you're going to cut. I'm going to do a circle this time, so as long as these pieces span across what would be a circle, they should be just fine. On this one, I did a scalloped rectangle, so they had to be a little bit longer, and I decided I didn't like the rectangle as much. On my blog, I have another circle one that I did with the tulip paper, and that one is pretty too. Hi Betty Lou, hi Nancy. Thank you for joining me. So we're going to start with that. I have my silicone mat because it's a little bit messy with the adhesive. And I have a piece of window sheet that is also in the annual catalog. I have a piece of that cut, and I cut it a little bit wider than the circle. And I'm going to cut it now. I'm just using my regular trimmer, a little bit shorter. Again, there's no reason to have the extra hanging around. So first thing we're going to do is put our strips on this. And again, I know the circle fits pretty close, so if I go across most of this, I should be fine. I don't like to use the liquid glue on the acetate. I feel like it makes a mess. So I'm going to use my Stamp and Seal, which takes a little bit getting used to. Some people have said I like to hold it really upright and then upright to break it. And it rolls best when you do have the silicone mat underneath there. So I'm going to go right up to the top of this. Usually I'd stick my head right in there. I'm not quite at the top, but I couldn't see. I'll just make sure my circle doesn't overhang that. And I'm just going to put on some of these strips any way that I want, and I'm going to leave a little bit of room in between. And that is just personal preference, how much room you leave in between I don't like too much, but I don't like too little either, and I have no idea what that amount is that I'm leaving there. It is, I think these grid lines are 1/4 of an inch apart, so it's pretty small. It's way less than 1/4 of an inch. Let's see. I would like some polka dots. Ooh, I like that side. I'm going to do that side. So sometimes you can see I had a little trouble getting that started. That happens with the seal at times. You just kind of keep going. And I'm going to cut this off now. We'll trim them all later, but I might want the other, well, it's going to be too small. I thought I might want the other side of that. What do I want next? I think I'll do this one next. And again, having that silicone mat underneath helps in case some of my adhesive goes off the edge of the paper. I really like the polka dots. I want some polka dots. This one seems a little bit wide. I'm going to go with it anyway. I'm a little crooked here, but with a circle it really doesn't matter because I can turn that circle any way I want. If it was a rectangle, again, I might not like that so much. Oops. I glued it more to my mat than to my acetate. See if I can keep that there. Okay, so I'm going to trim this a little bit. It doesn't need to be wider than my window sheet or acetate. And this is sticky, so I'm going to get this out of here if I can. You can see everything is sticking. Okay. There we go. Okay. All right, and then I don't need any of these, and I don't need that anymore. I'm going to put this on here the way that I like it. I want to get some of that green in there. So when I cut, I'm going to cut it with that towards the bottom. Right now, Stampin' Up! Is having a special on this mini cut and emboss machine. And it is on sale for 20% off. This is it right here. I don't know how well you can see that. I'll wait for the camera to catch up. So it's $48, and it comes with all the little plates that you need as well, and I'm going to use that today. It's the mini machine, so it only fits certain things, but there are quite a few dies, and then there's the mini embossing folders that it also fits as well. Right now there's a sale where you can get, as I said, the mini on sale, but there's 13 bundles that fit this mini machine that are also on sale for 20% off. I have heard some people have a hard time rolling things through this mini. So far, I've had really good luck, and they do say that you want to stagger your plates a little bit here on the end. So I have my bottom plate sticking out slightly more than the first plate, and then my second plate is slightly less than that one. Hi, Courtney. Hi, Maria. Maria says she just got her mini and she loves it. Mine is rolling very easily, very smoothly. It's going to be tight with that window sheet in there because it's thick, so you will hear a crack. You will get an indentation in your plates, but that's all okay. Betty Lou, you asked if this would work with cardstock instead of a window sheet. You would see the cardstock in between, and so you wouldn't really get that floating look. It would look like you have a stripe in between. I don't know if maybe vellum would work better. I've heard some people that don't have the window sheets use the plastic from packaging, because you're not going to see very much of it. So even like on a macaroni box where there's a little bit of plastic, you can take that off and use it. I'm trying to think of what else has a little bit of plastic that you could use. But anyway, this is my little floating frame. I'm going to turn that over now, and we need to lift it up. So I'm going to use the foam adhesive strips. All this kind of stuff is in the annual catalog, the things that don't change seasonally. You could also use dimensionals and put dimensionals on the strips. You would want to make sure they're not going to show through, so sometimes you might have to trim them if you have a thinner strip or like a small spot where you need to put some, but you'll just want to use either all dimensionals or all of these strips because they seem to be a different thickness. I'm going to use these just because that's what I've used when I've made it. So I put a little piece on, and I'm just going to trim that. And I'm going to put one on each strip. My daughter is telling me that my grandson would love these foam strips. He loves dimensionals. He thinks they're a great thing to play with. He likes to put them on his fingers. Okay. You can also pull these strips and have them break, but then you get an end that's a little bit funky. So I tend to just use my scissors. And this piece can just stick right back on there, and it will be fine when I go to use it. Okay. So I'm going to peel these off. The mini and the big Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, if you get that, comes with all of the plates that you need. The embossing plate for the regular embossing folders and the embossing plate for the 3D embossing folders, so it would have everything that you need. I ran this piece of cardstock through an embossing folder called Tasteful Textiles. I just like that little bit of background texture. I think you can see it. And I think I'm going to put this way. I'm going to use my grid paper to try to line this up. And I'm going to put it in the upper third. So there's my floating strips. I really like that look, and I'm going to cut a couple of different things to put on the front of that. So I love this little flower that's from the Garden Wishes bundle. It has a few different ones. Maybe I'll cut one of each of these this time. This bundle does happen to be on sale for 20% off right now. And I'm going to put these, I'm going to run it through on a piece of Pear Pizzazz, Balmy Blue, and Pale Papaya. So I think I will start with the Pear Pizzazz, and again, this will go right through my mini that I've buried the plates on. Here we go. You can use Post-it note tape or even a piece of washi tape to hold your dies in place if you're having trouble keeping them, especially if you're going around a stamped image and they need to be a little bit more exact. I'm trying to keep this on camera, so there we go. It's okay if the bottom of my stem is off the paper because I'm not going to use the whole stem. I know it's too long. So there we go. Here's a piece in Pear Pizzazz. I think I'll do the spray one in a bit of Pale Papaya. You just want to make sure your die is on the cutting plate. My piece of paper is bigger than the cutting plate, so I have to make sure my die is not hanging over. I hope this is not shaking things too much. Oh, you know, the other place you can find a piece of acetate is in your stamp cases. Your photopolymer stamp cases have those pieces of plastic. If you have one that's not too wrinkled or anything, you could use that to put your strips on. And I'm not sure if I'm going to use all three of these, but I'll go ahead and cut one out of the Balmy Blue as well, just so I have it ready. And maybe a sentiment thing out of the Balmy Blue. I'm going to try to put both of those through at the same time. There we go. So I didn't pay too much attention on that last time through as to whether my plates were staggered or not, and they seem to go through just fine. But it's something to be aware of. Okay, so let's get some of this stuff out of the way. I also have a card base ready to go. This is Calypso Coral, and it was 8.5 by 5.5, and I scored it at 4 1/4. So eventually that is going to go on there, and then I like a little something that kind of overlaps the circle. I didn't plan this out ahead of time, so I don't really know. And then a little sentiment. I think I'm just going to do one piece. What's your vote? Pale Papaya, Pear Pizzazz, or Balmy Blue? What do you think? Oh, I could put one up top. I don't know. Tell me what you think, and we'll work on the sentiment. I don't think I like the sentiment on the blue. If I hadn't put my piece of paper through the embossing folder already, I could stamp my sentiment first, then put it through the embossing folder. But I can't do that now because it won't stamp very well on that bumpiness. So I see a vote for Pear Pizzazz. Hi, MJ. Let's see. This one says, made with love for a true friend. That is the sentiment I'm going to use this time. I don't have my sticker. I just started putting my sticker on my stamps. So I use my grid paper. I'm upside down. I use my grid paper to line up my stamps. We'll test that out and see how that goes. Blue and green, balmy blue, pale papaya, pear pizzazz, staggered. Courtney's getting fancy. Blue and green. Courtney's saying something about flat. Yeah, I don't have room with my tape under there. I agree. I don't think I like the pale papaya one. Let's see how I did at getting this straight. That's pretty good. Okay. So I'm going to stamp that on this scrap of white. And then if I have a die right here that works for that, I might cut it out. Otherwise, I'll just use my scissors. That's a little bit too wide. Ah, there we go. I'm gonna, well, I don't think that's gonna work. I'm just gonna cut this with my trimmer and we will put it on the bottom. There we go. Okay. So my tails are going to be a little bit tricky here. I'm going to try to bring them down with a glue dot and get them on the edge of that sentiment. We'll see how I do. And none of this is attached to my card base yet. Okay, so I need the Pear Pizzazz one first. And I'm going to try to find a glue dot. These are the little glue dots that come in the paper pumpkin kits. And I love these. They're a little bit smaller and thinner than our other glue dots. I'm going to put the glue dot here because I don't know where on my stem it's going to need to be. And then I'm going to take off the piece of paper. Okay. So I think I had that up and maybe off a little bit. Stuck my finger down pretty well. And then Ah, it already stuck to the glue dot. There we go. And then I'm going to cut these pretty much even with the end of the mat. And that will anchor those down. And I'm going to glue this whole thing to the front. I love a little bit of texture on that cardstock. I seem to be allergic to too much plain white cardstock, unless that's, you know, the entire look I'm going for is really plain. So I thought I grabbed some gems. Most of I've been spending a lot of time at my daughter's because we have a new baby in the family. And most of my gems are still there. I found some blue backed adhesive gems. And I don't want, no, I think that's too much, too bluey. What do you think? I would say too bluey. Let me see if I have anything else over here. It's always good to have a gem. How about some elegant faceted dots? Just a little bit of color, or sparkle maybe. I like to put the gem under the height of something else because that will protect the card and the envelope just a little bit. That height is going to protect it from getting squished, and I think I'll put one up there. So there you go, a little floating frame card. Really easy to make. The tricky part is just having a piece of window sheet. But like I said, if you have a new photopolymer set, this is one that I just got. There is some plastic on that, heavier and the thinner, and you won't see too much of it, so even if it has a few little marks in it, it should be okay. So I hope you liked that card. I hope you'll give this technique a try. Please like the video and share it if you would, so that more people can enjoy some card making tips. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I'd love to help you make cards at home. I'd love to help you with your purchases if you have any questions and you're not working with the demonstrator. And mostly, send those cards out. Share your superpowers, share the joy, and send cards to people and let them know that somebody is thinking of them. Hope you have a great rest of your Sunday afternoon, and I'll see you on my page. Bye-bye.